restoration is an excellent exercise when you want to become more detail-oriented in your processing techniques. It's great for establishing skills that you would use in general photography, portrait retouching, and especially if you're looking to grow your compositing skill set. This image is not as bad as some I've worked with in the past, but it does have a lot of splotches from something spilled on it, as well as some minor scratches, water stains, and the biggest liability in the client themselves, a tremendous amount of dust from a dirty scanner. The first thing I do with any image is to duplicate the base layer. Even though this is a smart object and I can work directly on it in a non-destructive manner, with photo restoration it's generally important to keep one layer pristine, in case there is a lot of restoration required and you need a reference image to refer back to. There are other ways to keep this reference that won't be covered in this tutorial on basic restoration. Next, I'll apply a Dust and Scratches filter to this smart object. Go up to Filter, Noise, Dust and Scratches. And we're going to zoom in closely to see what kind of job the filter does. Not so much with a 1 pixel radius, so clearly I'm going to need to bump it up a little bit. I'm using my up arrow key for this. You see it gets rid of a lot of dust, but it's also a little blurry. We've lost a lot of detail, so we need to go to the threshold now and move it upward until some of the detail comes back. Checking other areas of my image, I see that I lost more detail than I wanted to, particularly in some of the areas with finer details. Faces especially are areas that you want to make certain you don't lose detail in. And there was certainly a lot more detail in this jacket that we're going to need to bring back before we leave this particular dialog box. I'm going to reduce the radius now until I start to see details coming back to the image without revealing too much of the dust. It's always a judgment call with these things. So I'm going to look it over, and yeah, looks like we've brought back sufficient detail, but we've removed quite a bit of the dust from the image. So I think we're going to just go ahead and click OK, and there we have it. The Dust and Scratches filter applied to this smart object created a smart filter. Click on the mouse for this, and we're going to use our brush tool to bring back some of the more important details. I tend to work at about 40% in my brush opacity, unless I'm absolutely certain that I want to remove everything that I just put in. Make sure that your foreground color is set to black, so that you can remove areas of the filter where you wish to bring back detail. This is especially important around the areas of the face. Remember, when doing portrait restoration, that the image is of a real person. You cannot be creative when it comes to this type of post-processing. Your goal is to maintain as much of the original information as possible, and only work to remove damage which has occurred to the image over time. Okay, well, looks like I'm going to be at this for another 5 or 10 minutes. How about a little soothing elevator music to help pass the time? Yeah, I didn't think that was such a great idea either. Where is my fast forward button on this? Okay, I found it. I'm just taking you through this just to give you a rough idea of the kinds of areas that I concentrate on, mostly areas of high contrast, highlights and things like that. You want to retain those so they don't give away that you've done a lot of blurring to the image. In the next tutorial, I'll take you through the steps for removing all of the spots and water stains.